Good morning to some, good afternoon to others. My name is Tiffany. Welcome back to our ongoing quest to build a culture of empathy. We are recording this call for educational and promotional purposes. We'd like to do a short round of check-ins. We always do that. We take up to 30 seconds for each person, and I'll just call on each person. And you can share how your buddy empathy call went this week, or your one-to-one buddy call. You could talk about that for 30 seconds, or any comment on the Empathy Circle from last week you'd like to share. Any questions are invited as well. So I'll begin. If you'd like for me to come back to you, just let me know. I'll start with Kevin.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My buddy calls with Dana. It was really great. It just reminded me of how important it is to really be a listener and express the points of short listening bursts where you don't have a long conversation. And I'm really enjoying this experience as every time builds on each time to make you better at what you do. And I really appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Kevin. I'll pass it on to Jane.
Hello. I had a good buddy call this week, which is I got a chance to know the person more, which is good. And I had a good, I facilitated an empathy circle with my friends. And it went well. It has some challenges, but it's not bad. It went well. So, and they quite like it. So that was a good week. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Also, I'd like to modify what I said earlier. We'd like to take 30 seconds. It's not as many people here as last week, so if you want to take a bit longer to share, then we're comfortable with that. I'll pass it on to Johnny.
Hello. My empathy circle this week was another one-on-one. It's the second one that I've done. Primarily just focusing on my listening skills and trying to make sure that I'm being effective in getting what the person is saying, at least into my short-term memory, long enough to repeat it. It's been a little bit of a struggle for me lately, but that's what I did this week. So,
thank you for coming back, Johnny. Lloyd.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I had a really good empathy training with Bill. His listening skills are really improving, so I want to commend him on that. Enjoyed our conversation. So what I want to bring in for myself, I did mention last week I had a recent knee replacement, and it seems pretty fired up this morning. I'm having a really difficult time calming it down. So one thing I appreciate about the training, having survived a lot of trauma and brain injury and everything else, is the difficulty in listening. Besides the distraction of our culture and our programming and our life experiencing, what a challenge it is to slow down enough, to concentrate and focus and really want to hear the other person. I really value and appreciate this training. I want everyone to know that. That's part of it. And thank you very much for letting me be a part of it. And thank you, Bill, for our I really appreciate it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Floyd. Dwayne.
Hello to everyone. Excuse me. I had a really, once again, a really enjoyable buddy call with Ralph. It was really interesting. We had an opportunity to explore a lot of different topics, and we figured out how to make the world a better place to live. So that was a really positive experience. And I look forward to an enjoyable training today. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Dwayne. I'll pass it on to Andrea.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. I've been watching, I missed a week. I kind of decided to. I've been watching some videos to catch up, and they're so good that I can feel that I'm part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Welcome, Krista. We're just sharing our thoughts on our buddy call this week, or you can talk about any comments or share something from last week's session for about 30 seconds or a little bit longer.
Thanks. Andrea, I missed last week myself, and I've been noticing how just showing up, wherever we're at is a really valuable thing for me, like to not be perfect. So I didn't fully watch everything, but I in this circle and in others, I'm bringing that sense of I can show up and I feel okay about it, but also that I can show up and maybe not even run a full empathy circle, but practice within a conversation with 3 other people, the modality, the idea of, empathetically listening, and how much that has improved, my contributions to a circle. So I'm glad to be back, and hope I can make it the whole time. Thanks.
Thank you, Krista. BJ, thank you for joining us. We're just sharing our thoughts on the buddy call or the empathy circle session from last week.
Thank you. Greetings, everyone. I was not able to do my buddy call, so.
You're also welcome to share the last time you were in session. What were your thoughts about it on a Saturday?
It was interesting. I enjoyed it. I learned. I'm in the learning mode. But what I can say and what I can talk about is having used the process this week in my business. Well, let me just back up for some of you. I am a workplace mediator and a marital and divorce mediator. So in my practice this week, I had some mediations, and I did use it in one of the redress mediations, and it was very helpful. I noticed that when it came to utilizing the empathy circles within that redress, the body language of the participants changed. The counselee and the management official, the attorney, their body language changed. So it was successful. So I just want to say that I'm all in. And again, I think it should go global. That's my mantra.
Thank you so much for that, BJ. Jana?
Hi, I've had some trouble connecting, and I don't have chat appearing, so I have some limitation today. I had a buddy call with Larry. I couldn't connect with Payal in Mumbai, and BJ, you're always welcome to be my buddy again. And I led a small empathy circle this morning with 2 other people, and it was really lovely, and the topic was compassion in action. And one of the participants shared that she was able she's totally new to active listening and empathic listening. And she was able in a difficult situation with a family member to switch from disagreement that wasn't leading anywhere. All of a sudden she remembered empathy circles and switched to just listening and repeating, and it totally changed the interaction. So that was really lovely.
Thank you. I'll pass it to Deidre.
Hello, I am glad to be here. Just I'm trying to not be in transition, so I apologize for logging on late, but this way I'm and stable. And I had a really lovely check-in with my trainer, and I am grateful to them for making that possible. And I look forward to practicing and letting go of perfectionism today.
Thank you for being present, Deidre. Laura?
Sorry. Rough week. Husband had surgery. I had a migraine, got nothing done. That's it.
We're glad that you're here today, Laura. Joyce, would you like to share?
Hi, yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, last week, I was actually having to come in late to the Empathy Circle training, so I didn't get a chance to facilitate my own circle, but I'm hoping this week I'll get to practice and I'll get to have a challenge thrown at me and see how I do there. So glad to be here.
Thank you, Laura. Shauna? Shauna, you're on mute, but if you'd like to share.
Hi, everyone. It's so good to be here. Been a really a tough week. I have a lot of assignments because I'm in my finals. Along with that, just really, my body is just really being exhausted. So I'm trying to power through at present. Unfortunately, I am actually in the present moment doing a major piece of my assignment. And so it's a strong possibility that, you know, I may not be as active today. I did have a body call earlier with Krista. It was wonderful. We connected, learned of our similarities based on, you know, our journey as it relates to our work and the things that we look at as it relates to the integrity in what we do, and some of the things that, you know, challenge our worldview and perspectives, you know, in our own way. However, at the very end, we recognize how much we connected in so many ways. So it was really good. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Shauna. Sarika, would you like to share?
Yes, I was able to have a buddy call earlier this week with Anne, and that was nice. We were able to actually practice our listening skills, so I enjoyed that, and that was nice. So thank you for letting me share.
Thank you. Hi, y'all. I know you asked to observe. Would you like to share, or would you like for me to move on?
I'll put it up on chat right now.
Okay. Trey?
Hey everyone. Yeah, I was able to have my buddy call this week on Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday, with Celine. And yeah, it was a pretty nice call. I wasn't sure how mentally available it would be, but after the call, it was I felt like a bit of recovery as well from being unwell, and kind of motivated to just continue and come as I am and experience the calls, especially today. Yeah, I felt like I was a little bit, me falling back on what was happening and everything, but yeah, I feel motivated and ready to move forward. Still unwell, but feel more prepared this week to engage. I was just looking forward to that.
Thank you for sharing. Vera? I believe your mic is off, Vera.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. I'm finishing up a Costco trip. I had unexpected visitors today, so I had to run and get a quick gift. Anyway, yeah, I had my buddy call with Jaya this week, and it was beautiful. We spoke for almost an hour, and you know, first we followed the Empathy Circle process, and then we just had a really great time just connecting and you know, learned a lot about her, and you know, she's all the way in India, and it's really great to connect and meet so many beautiful people, you know, through this process, through this training. And so I'm really grateful for that. And yeah, I love being here. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you for connecting, Vera. And Altania?
Hi, I haven't had a buddy call this week. I actually just got out of the hospital for the second time. Past couple of weeks I've been in the hospital, so I haven't had a chance to focus on anything because they've been bombarding me with doctors and nurses and therapists, and I might have to go back into the hospital. Hopefully not. I'm tired of being here, but I'm fully present.
Thank you, Altonia, for your commitment. Okay, I believe that's everyone. I see that there are a number of people posting in the chats. Just
Anjali
did not get to know. I'm sorry.
Hi.
Anjali.
So I had 2 buddy calls, and they went well. In one, we talked about the importance of pre-conferencing work that can be important in how the empathy training goes, because it helps create equal spaces for everyone. Because out in the world, you know, people have different place and space. So in the empathy training, to make it sort of equal, that requires work. And then in the other buddy call, we talked about time management and the importance of time. So one thing that I remembered in both is that connection and communication is the key, and everything else comes later. So that is all I have. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That concludes our welcome and personal check-in. I'm so thankful for the responses in the chats, the warm thoughts and wishes. I appreciate you all for that. Thank you.
So you're passing it on to Bill and Celine for the feedback?
Okay. Yeah, great. Celine, did you want me to start here?
Sure, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
I might mention, if you can have your video on, it would be good to turn your video on just so we can see everyone if you're able to. And I just want to be sure, is everyone here taking part in the course? Is there someone who just dropped in to sort of check it out? This is a 5-week course, so you should have been signed up for the full 5 weeks. So we had some people drop in, so I'm not sure who before. So I just wanted to give you that heads up. So, okay, Bill.
Sure. Okay, I'm going to touch on some of the questions that have been, and then I'll short question. We want to get into the breakout circles, so I'll try to make it brief. There was a question about burnout, and this is an ongoing theme of really being mindful and assessing your own capacity and other people's capacity. But really, mutuality is built in. A lot of people who complain about, well, I'm always the empathetic one. I'm always listening, but nobody listens to me. And in this process, it actually goes back and forth. So I can say from my anecdotal, experience that a lot of people come tired and they feel energized. So I would say trust the process in that sense. But if you feel burnt out, just be authentic about it and take steps to take care of yourself. The other ones was like, well, if there's cross communication or misunderstanding or inappropriate topics in the empathy circle, Again, that's about capacity. You're allowed to say anything that you want, even if it's politically incorrect, or whatever, in the empathy circle. But that doesn't mean that everybody's ready to hear it. And so, so you assess your capacity to deal with it, and then the capacity of the others in the group to deal with that. A lot of times, if you just let the process kind of play itself out, it will self-correct, I would say, at least in 80% of the time, in my experience. Somebody asked about the best platform. We're on Zoom. It's free. To a certain extent, I don't know too much about other platforms, so I won't comment more than that, other than Zoom works. The only other thing I say is that we do this live, both in like a workshop thing and going to like a farmer's market or a protest. So it does, transfer and travel well. The last one was about the, there's one about response, some more information about how to respond to challenges, and that's an ongoing development issue. I know Edwin's very interested in that. And the other one was about strong emotions, suicidal ideation. And again, it's a sense that you're not supposed to be a Superman or a Superwoman. That, sense your capacity, the capacity for others. Strong emotions are allowed, and just, use empathy, reflect them. For suicidal ideation, you have to take a little bit of a kind of an analytical look at that, I believe. In my role, I'm a retired special education teacher dealing with, I dealt with suicidal adolescents and children. So it's good to get an assessment. One of the things we did when that came up is to see how reality-based it is. In other words, do they have a plan? Is it just something, a feeling, or no, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to do A, B, and C. And the more focused it is, the more danger the person is in. And so therefore, you might want to have resources, suicide hotlines, local things. You can go online, if we're doing it online, to whoever the person happens to be locally, and find out some resources for them. But that's it. If the more specific and concrete it is, the more possible that the person might actually do something. Other than that, it's a bit less dangerous. So assess your own capacity, and then see what else, and then see what other resources you can bring to bear. You're not responsible for the weight of the world. And that's what I'll say. I know we'll have, and also when people are out of the, I forgot to mention this, when they sort of like stray and color outside the lines of the process, so to speak, make sure it's not you versus, well, I'm the facilitator and this is what I say, but I could say, this is what you're doing. This is what the process is. I'm just trying to keep you in the process. It's not a criticism of you or your ideas. It's just to keep the process going. And there's an experiential part to this. And so I just want you to experience that and then see where they take it at. That's it. I know we don't want to go too long here, but any other quick questions, or is there something I didn't cover? And also I want to invite the other trainers and trainees to say something if they feel that, I missed something, or it could be enhanced. It always can be enhanced. I'm not perfect. Anything else? I don't see anything. All right. Okay, people are good. All right. And then I will pass it on to Kathy for a description of the breakout room today. Take it away, Kathy.
Thank you, Bill. So today we'll be devoting our time in the breakout circles to giving you time to practice facilitation. Optional is introducing everybody to the how-to, so you can do that if you want, but you don't have to. And remember that everyone in the circle, you just consider them new to the process. And each facilitator will have be able to determine if they want challenges or not, and if so, do you want a mild challenge or a medium challenge, or no challenges at all? And the trainees or the trainers will be the ones giving the challenges. And remember to set your topic, and your topic or whatever is alive in people. We'll be doing, the time today will be 3 minutes for each turn that somebody has. And remember, the facilitator is the first listener. I always had trouble with that when I was starting circles. So somebody said L, it comes before S and speaker. So listener comes before the L, and listener comes before the S and speaker. So remember, L, you're the first listener. And then we'll end our breakout 30 minutes before the end of session, so we have time to come back and debrief. And when you're facilitating and having your challenges, there'll be 5 minutes at the end of each facilitator's time to debrief how that went for you. So I think that's everything for describing what we'll be doing today. And so who do I pass it to at this point?
I'll be sending everyone into the rooms.
Great.
So we have, there's one, Andrea, had you signed up for this course? I don't have you on the list. Have you taken part in the previous sessions?
Yes, certainly. I came 2 weeks ago and I sent you a message and you said, see you next week.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Videos.
There's like 40 names here that I'm kind of sorting, so it's a little confusing. So great. I got you in there. So we have the rooms will be with Kathy. Rasha for the first room, Bill for the second, facilitating the overall room. And then we have Celine, and then Larry, and then Anne, and then Ralph. And Kathy, our group, I'll stay here with you. That group will be recorded. And then I'll give 10-minute heads up before the groups all close. So here we go into the breakout rooms. And see you in the breakout rooms.
Welcome, everyone. Okay, so we're going to have 90 minutes and we've got 4 people.
There
so
should be, it's Deirdre, is that you're in another room I think you need to push a button to get there, or?
Honestly, it didn't come up on my screen.
Okay.
I apologize. I was waiting for it.
Yeah, it says that
I'm also stuck here.
Oh, okay. Let's see. I'm sorry.
I'm on a different connection. I sent you an email, so I don't know if I'll succeed in going to a breakout room.
No, we're staying in this room here. Okay, you're right. It's like we have Deirdre.
We're in homeroom.
Jana. Yeah, this is homeroom, and Floyd. So this is right. So I think it's okay. I get it. It's Payal. Somehow
Kyle's listening. Yeah, she's observing.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So it's just the 3 and I'm sort of just here, kind of.
Okay.
Just observing.
All right, sounds good. So we'll have Deirdre, Floyd, and Jana will have 30 minutes each to facilitate. You're welcome to add the introduction or just facilitate, and we'll save 5 minutes at the end to debrief each of you. I'll be keeping the total time, and so you'll be keeping the 3 minutes. So who would like to take their first turn?
And I'll just mention, this is the home room. This is the weight room. So if people drop out of the call, they'll be coming back through this. So that's like an added challenge. So
Great.
Yeah.
I think we're up for the challenge. All right, who'd like to go first? All right, shall I pick someone?
I saw Floyd was talking, but he's muted.
Floyd, did you want to go first?
What I'm asking, are you facilitating? You're the facilitator for this first round. Is that correct? Or
Each of you are going to be facilitating. I'm just keeping the time and monitoring the entire process. And I'll be providing challenges for those who want challenges.
Can I ask a clarifying question as well?
Yes.
How much time would you like us to set for each speaker?
3 minutes.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yes, Jana. Okay, Did you want to go first, Jana?
I was just holding up 3 fingers for Deirdre.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm going to ask if you would go first, Jana.
You want me to go first?
Please. So you'll have 24 minutes for the circle, and we'll have 5 minutes to debrief.
Okay, I just want to say that I can't see everyone. I can only see Kathy and myself today because I have some technological problem.
Okay, we've got Floyd and Deirdre.
Yeah, I mean, they pop on when they're speaking, but when they're not speaking, I
Great.
don't see them. So
Okay, good.
I haven't made any sign, and I'd really love to see your pause sign, Kathy, but I'll use this for pause, and I'll use my phone for time. So
And do you want to challenge Jana?
Yes, I love worst challenges.
Okay, great.
I love challenges.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're here today for an empathy circle, or compassionate circle, an active reflect. 4 roles in this circle. The speaker. So first I'll just remind you what the roles are and what we're doing, and then we'll take turns with my little egg timer here. I've made a louder chime because I find out that when I'm facilitating, it's a little harder for me to pay attention to a little tick. So I apologize. I don't know what this sounds like so well. Here, we can listen to it here. Chime. I don't know. Anyway, we'll hear it. So the speaker is also practicing empathy and compassion by pausing frequently so that the active listener can share. And as a topic, I'd like to offer compassion and action. And so we can talk about the topic, compassion and action, or we can just talk about whatever is alive for us today. And so the speaker can share whatever he or she likes as well. And the speaker gets to pick their active listener. And I'll be the first active listener. The active listener is the second role, the first active listener. And I'm sorry, is that right? Yes. And the active listener listens and can request a pause if needed, maybe by showing a hand or simply speaking and saying, I'm requesting a pause if the speaker forgets the active listener in their passion and wish to share. And the active listener is simply reflecting back, repeating either exactly what is being heard or paraphrasing or summarizing, but getting the gist of what's being shared, and without any judgment or questions or adding on or just simply reflecting. So I'll do that first. And then there's a silent listener or silent listeners. And this is a little challenging here. This is New York City, my friends. So hopefully, can you hear this? You hear the background? So we might do empathic, very empathic listening with this. And then I'm the facilitator. So I'll show a pause, as I said, with this until I see Kathy's beautiful pause sign, which I missed last time, or the time with this. So who would like to speak first? It's either Deirdre or Floyd, I guess. Would one of you like to go first? I can't see you. So D comes before F. So Deirdre, would you be willing to speak first?
And did you say what the topic was? I apologize if I didn't catch that.
The topic is compassion and action, or whatever's alive for you right now.
Okay. Okay.
Well, yeah.
Before we get started, can we just talk normally? This is kind of weird how we're doing this. This isn't.
It is very weird. The empathy practice, the empathic listening, is a very specific skill. It's just one tool, one skill, and it's not to replace our normal conversations in normal life. But right now we're practicing this skill. So your turn will come and you'll get to practice the skill. And at the very end, we'll have a chance to just converse. And then for the next 23 hours or however long until our next empathy circle, we'll have a chance to, to talk freely. So yeah, so
I'll try it.
I'll be set. Okay, really try. So just breathe and go enjoy the ride, just listening and practice your silent listening skills.
Vera, does Vera need to get back to
I
the
need
other
to get
room,
to Bill
Edwin?
Feller's room, please. I sent you a chat message, but I don't know if you saw it.
This is wonderful. We get real challenges. Okay, Floyd, are you ready?
I'm ready when you are.
Okay, so compassion and action. So I'm kind of passionate about compassion and action. It's very dear to my heart. People talk about a savior complex negatively, and I'll pause there.
So you're studying about compassion and action, very dear to your heart. People talk about the negative aspects of a savior complex.
Yeah, but actually, Buddhism teaches that a savior complex is actually what we aspire to be and do.
Buddhism would describe savior complex as what we desire to be and do.
Yeah, not in, and of course, compassion needs to be coupled with wisdom, with a realistic view.
Compassion is coupled with wisdom, and that it's a realistic view.
Yeah, so that we're acting when it's appropriate to act and not acting when it's appropriate not to act, and most helpful and compassionate not to act.
So that we act when we were supposed to act, and non-action when we were supposed to not act, and that is the compassionate way to be.
Yeah, and yeah, so I don't know what else to say. I feel heard.
Oh, thank you. That was really beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, yeah, go ahead. So,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So you were the listener, and you get to choose to be the speaker, and you get to choose the next listener.
Well, since Deirdre did such a good job last time, I think we'll pick Deirdre again. That's okay. We'll just complete.
Thank you, Floyd. I look forward to listening.
So go ahead, Floyd, you can start speaking.
So you have the timer ready for me, I trust. So compassion in action. I think building on what was said before, probably one of the most challenging things I've had to learn in my life is self-compassion.
Floyd, I've heard you say that when we reflect on compassion in action, that the hardest lesson you've had to learn is self-compassion.
That having growing up in a very difficult environment in the childhood with a lot of bullying and abuse, that we tend to move into survival.
Oh, I hear you talking about your childhood experience. There was a lot of withholding and abuse, and I think that that's making this difficult right now. Is that what you're trying to convey?
And so the great lesson as also having experienced trauma and survived in a war where all the extremes are experienced of empathy and compassion, and extreme brutality happened at a very young age.
Well, if I hear you correctly, you have experienced trauma in wartime and the extremes of compassion and caring and trauma at a very young age.
But in my youth, I never looked at the time so much at compassion. I carried the guilt and shame of the trauma. And it didn't matter whether I was participated in the trauma or not, just the witnessing the trauma.
So you really hadn't focused on the compassion part as you were going through this experience, that you carried the shame and wonder if you actually participated or contributed to the trauma.
And having lived with that at a certain point, the most 3 minutes, was that 3 minutes warning? And having lived through that at a certain point in my life, one of the most radical and challenging things I did was to have one kind thought for myself.
Having lived through all of these experiences, the most challenging thing that you did is that you had a positive or caring thought for yourself.
Yeah, one kind thought.
One kind thought.
And it changed everything.
And it changed everything.
And that showed me the power of self-compassionate, compassionate thinking.
And that showed you the power of self-compassion and compassionate thinking.
Thank you so much.
So thank you, Deirdre. I feel heard. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And taking over such personal, important things and beautiful things over the challenges that I presented. So Deirdre, you listened and now you get to speak.
Okay. And is it okay that I've already spoken?
Yeah, sure. We just keep going until Kathy tells us to stop. I'm not following 30 minutes, so I'm relying on Kathy, but maybe that's going to be one of the challenges. I don't know. I hope not.
No, I'm part of the circle, but I'm also doing the overall timing of the circle.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. So, Deirdre, go ahead.
So if I understand Kathy correctly, she is a part of this circle, and so I'd like to invite you, Kathy, to be my listener.
I'm part of it too, just to let everyone know. So you can select anyone in the circle. So yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Edwin.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think any of us got that message in the beginning. I think that we thought of you as the timekeeper, Kathy, and that Edwin was really the homeroom corral coordinator. So
go ahead, Deirdre. Go ahead.
So I'm thinking about compassion in action and reflecting on what a gift it was to listen for Floyd. I so appreciate Floyd's sharing the journey and arrival at this incredible thought and framing it as one kind thought, that we can all start with one kind thought for yourself. And that really moved me.
So you really loved what Floyd had to say, and you were moved by what he had to say. And the hearing that one kind thought can change everything was part of what moved you.
Mm-hmm. And I'm also noticing that in my desire to hold space for those powerful emotions and the story that Floyd shared, I'm anxious about focusing on what's alive for me outside of this moment. It feels selfish, so I'm not interested in talking about me anymore.
Mm. So sounds like you're struggling a little bit after Floyd share with what to share, and you want to keep this intimate moment, and you don't really want to share about yourself.
Yeah, and I think that this really shows me that, you know, we're all on a path, and the life experiences swirling around us, and reflecting what Jenna had shared and what Floyd has shared is that it's, you know, kindness, peace, and showing up. I mean, the savior complex that one kind thought for yourself is an act of grace, and it does save the moment. So I'm picturing walking down a path with a little whirlwind around me. Focused.
So it sounds like you're imagining yourself walking down a path in the middle of a whirlwind, and in that center, you're thinking of one kind thought and peace and compassion, carrying that with you.
And if I can do this, if I can keep practicing this, then maybe when I encounter someone else, the whirlwind will expand enough so that the two of us can be in that peaceful place, even if it's just for the moment.
So if you can do that sense of peace for yourself in the midst of the calm, in the midst of a storm, then maybe when others come near you, that you can expand that calm, peaceful place and embrace them in that space.
Yes, I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you. Edwin, would you be my listener?
Listening.
Okay, good. Oh, so yeah, I like what Deirdre said about not wanting to break the intimate moment. So I'm thinking, how can I continue the depth of what was started here?
So you're resonating with what Deirdre said about this intimate moment and how to maintain that.
Yeah. And, you know, since Floyd shared something so personal about himself, I'm wondering, what can I share about myself so that I join Floyd in trusting this circle?
Yeah, so you're just sitting questioning what you can share that is intimate so that you could sort of contribute to that intimacy.
Yeah. I will share that it also was a journey for me to learn how to love myself. And so when I hear Floyd say that one kind thought made a difference, it's like that's the first step in loving yourself, is to think kindly of yourself.
Yeah, so you had that same journey of how to care about yourself, and so you're sitting with that question, or just having one kind thought, as sort of a starting point for deeper caring for yourself.
Yeah, because I was always very critical of myself, and growing up in a very critical family, I, you know, did not learn to love myself. It was quite a journey to get there.
Yeah, so growing up in a family that was very critical, it took time to have that sense of self-love.
Yeah. And I can't imagine what would it be like to grow up as a child and to be fully and unconditionally loved. I mean, what would that be like? I mean, I just can't imagine what a beautiful experience that would be.
Yeah, so as you're just wondering, like as a child, if you had that unconditional love, and just what would that do, you know, for you personally? And can't even sort of imagine it because you had a different journey that you took.
Yeah. At the same time, would I be have the depth of character that I have now? I'm not sure I would.
So maybe that adversity kind of helped deepen your character. So maybe you wouldn't have had that depth of character otherwise.
Right. Yeah. I feel fully heard. Thank you. And our time is up for Jana's circle. So let's just take a few minutes to debrief. Let me just set my little clock here so I make sure everybody's got their amount of time. So Jana, what was that like for you?
Well, it's always difficult for me to keep track of that timer. But yeah, what you shared was very deep and very beautiful. Thank you, Floyd, for deepening all of us, and for Deirdre for sharing also your difficulty. And in this public recording, I don't know how I feel about sharing any of my difficulty at this time. And yeah, and thank you also, Kathy and Edwin. Yeah, it's really lovely to be with you here. Thank you.
Is there something you liked about how you managed the circle?
Well, I love your challenges, Kathy. It was very sweet. And I think I managed them okay. Yeah. And thank you for
I have a question.
Yeah, Deirdre, did you have a question?
Yeah, traditionally in the breakout rooms, they're not recorded. And I feel like maybe that wasn't exactly what I was expecting. And so how will this portion be edited? Because I think that matters, Edwin.
As we said at the very beginning, wherever I am is the part that's recorded. So it's done for educational purposes, because that's the sort of the purpose of the training, is to, to educate and train. So are you feeling uncomfortable with something that you shared, or?
Well, yeah, I was talking about my work, and if that's going to be put on LinkedIn, that's risky for me.
Mm.
And I apologize for not having considered that in the beginning, but I am concerned. That's not a place that my work should be.
Okay, then I can try to address that then, but I would say do not share anything in this circle, kind of going forward, that you don't feel that you would want publicly shared. So, yeah.
So can that be edited out?
Yeah, I think we can edit that. Mm-hmm.
I would also like mine edited so that I had a happy childhood. And I wish everyone could have lived my childhood. I'm going to change this whole thing on this recording. It doesn't have to be real then, so that's good.
No.
Pick it up, but that's it was simply.
Okay. Dude, I'm not facilitating. Kathy?
Yeah. So Jana, I really loved your gentleness, how you facilitated the circle, and even how you got me on track. It was very gentle. And I liked the explanation that you gave about the circle, that you were slow and deliberate about that explanation. The one thing I would suggest maybe for you to consider is before you explain the roles, you might say there are 4 roles: the facilitator, the active listener, the silent listener, and the speaker, right? And then go ahead, then explain them. I think that might make things a little bit clearer for people. Anybody else have any feedback for Jana?
Thank you.
I think she did a great job. She really handled the rudeness of the person that interrupted really well. So that was really done really well. That was compassion and empathy in action.
Yeah.
Good job, Jana.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that as well. And I think that you captured it exactly with the gentleness. That was the perfect word.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'll
Anything
second
else?
all those. Yeah.
Yeah, Edwin.
The one thing, yeah, it's created nice, it felt like a safe space. People were able to share kind of openly. There was the one thing I try to do is there was a little bit of explanation that you were doing. Usually I try not to explain too much, keep it within the process. When it comes to my turn, I'll use my turn to explain things. So to hold the process as much as possible. That's just like a little thing, just a little sort of a tip. Yeah.
Thank you, Edwin.
Thank you, Jana. All right, so who would like to go next? Shall I choose? Floyd, your microphone is not on, so why don't you go?
My microphone is on.
Oh, your microphone is on. Yeah, that's what I meant. Your microphone's on, so why don't you go?
Your microphone is off. Punished. She needs to be punished. No, I'll go. I'm not as polished, understand, so I apologize to everyone in advance for all of this, you know. So as the facilitator, I'll do my best. Here we go. Good morning, everyone. My name is Floyd. I'll be your facilitator for this Empathy Circle. For those that don't know what an Empathy Circle is, it's a gathering of people where we have a facilitator, we have an active a listener, we have a passive listener, we have a speaker. As a facilitator, that I'll go first as the listener to demonstrate the model of listening and feedback. The speaker will speak, will give a subject. The speaker will speak on that subject or the subject that they choose or what's up for them. And the listener, the active listener, will provide the feedback. So back to the speakers, to where it reflects back to the speaker, so the speaker feels like they're heard, fully heard. We will set a time of 3 minutes of speaking for each round. Each person will have 3 minutes to speak on the subject that is selected or on the topic, and I'll be keeping time for that. Let's see what else. That once the listener once the listener has listened for the 3 minute talk, the listener will become the next speaker and choose the listener for their conversation, and then the active listener will reflect back to them, reflect and mirror back to them what they said until they feel fully listened. So everyone will have a chance to participate, and everyone's in. So with that, I think we're ready to begin. I pray that.
Floyd, I forgot to ask you if you want challenges.
I think that was one of them. And so I would take, how about a medium for me?
Great.
So we want a compassionate, medium, gentle challenge. We'll stay on the theme of compassion.
Got it.
So I think given the topic before was on compassion, then I would like to continue the conversation in how the journey of compassion and empathy and even empathetic listening, how that's connected and tied in. The question is how do I heal, and how am I healed by compassion and empathy in my interaction and communication? And so that's the topic that I would like to, but if you've something more prevalent is coming up for you, please feel free to speak about that, something that is more urgent for you, then I would encourage you to bring that in as well. So I'll be the active listener, and so I'm really glad that who would like to volunteer to be the speaker, Deirdre?
All right, I will be the speaker, and if I might ask, Floyd, could you share sort of the topic one more time for me?
Yeah, the topic was staying on the theme of compassion, but weaving in empathy, and how this work, or the work of compassion and empathy, provides a healing moment, provides a healing in our lives for whatever might be broken or torn inside of us,
Okay, thank you. So as I think about this topic right now, I am thinking back on times when I haven't known the pain that exists in a person that I'm interacting with. And I will start from a place of judgment until I feel sort of a mounting anxiety in myself. And I think, who am I in this moment and how am I present for this person?
Oh boy. So you're thinking back on the subject of conversation and thinking about people that you've been in conversation with that without really being aware of the pain or the suffering that they're living with. And that in the conversation, and when you begin to feel the mounting, the word we'll use is anxiety that you're experiencing or feeling. And then you begin to question yourself, who am I in this moment? Who am I in this engagement?
Mm-hmm. And I remember my great grandmother and my mother sharing this same idea that even when you feel that you're in conflict, that there's always something to love about the person in front of you. You can always find something, and that helps reset.
And that you remember the conversation between your mother and your grandmother, that they had said that whatever the situation or the conversation, the person in front of you, there's in the challenge or difficulties and challenges, there's always something that's lovable about the person. There's always some goodness inside of them.
Yeah, and it was my great grandmother, and I think that matters for me feeling fully heard. My great grandmother and my mother had a strong relationship because my grandmother had challenges. And I think about that when we think about, and yet there's something to love about everyone in this sort of 4-person encounter.
And so you think it was because of your great grandmother, your challenges, that your mother and your grandmother became strong because of it, and that from that they revealed or they discovered that there was always something to love about the person.
Yes, and I think that if you can find one thing that you could love, whether it's even just the light reflecting in their hair. I mean, sometimes it can be something very, very small, the color of the glasses frame, you know, the way the sun is. Is this our signal?
Yeah, I was waiting for you to finish to hold up the phone though, so I'm sorry.
Did you want me to hold up? Did you hold up a phone?
I was waiting for you to finish to hold the phone up. I wasn't going to do it until you finished. I didn't want to interrupt you, so I apologize for my phone. I didn't know it had a little chime on it.
No, I appreciate that, but one of the things I've found with the background, when it's a virtual background, is that your hand can appear and disappear, and sometimes I won't see what's in the hand. Thank you very much, Floyd.
I hold it in front of me.
Okay, I feel hurt.
No, yeah, but can I reflect back to that? That there's always something that's important, that is always something, whether even if it's the sunlight reflecting their hair, there's always something positive to discover about someone if we but look. You know?
Yes, I feel fully heard. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So now as the speaker, as the listener, that I become the speaker. And so who would volunteer to be my listener / guinea pig?
So Floyd, at this point, you choose who you would like to listen to.
I would choose, or then I would choose, I'll go ahead and choose Jana. Jana, would you please be my listener?
Sure.
So now let me set my timer. So now I get to continue the subject that I didn't know what I would talk about, but I thought it was a good subject. I believe that self-compassion is really the beginning of empathy. That compassion for myself, or whatever compassion I had for myself, is a bridge to also seeing that in other people, feeling that in other people.
So you're saying that you really feel that self-compassion is the beginning of empathy and the way to develop empathy, and that when you feel self-compassion, that's how you develop empathy for other people.
And that it's cyclical in the sense that as I look at a child and feel empathy for pain or hunger or a wound or trauma that they're experiencing, that mirrors something back within myself that I know what that is. I know what that feels like. And so there's a meeting, if you will, a bonding, not necessarily a bond, but a meeting where we connect in a way of knowing each other.
So when you see a child that has any kind of suffering, pain, hunger, discomfort, you know what that feels like inside you because you've had those experiences. And so that creates a connection. Just that knowing, that mere knowing creates a connection, a bonding with that other person.
An example I would give for that is in, this is recorded, but I'm going to say it anyway. Is a poem that I wrote years after I came back from the war.
That reminds you of the poem that you wrote years after you came back from the war.
And in the poem, I was talking about certain experiences I had and looking in people's eyes.
And the poem was about experiences that you had looking into people's eyes.
And the line of the poem says, "Did you know upon meeting, your eyes became me?"
And one line of the poem says, "Did you know upon meeting, your eyes became me?"
And I believe that is part of the bridge of compassion with others. If I truly look into your eyes and look into your soul, and we have the ability to connect in a much deeper way.
And that for you, looking into someone's eyes, you believe is the way to connect in a much deeper way.
Thank you. I feel fully heard. Thank you very much. Now you will get to speak and choose your listener, please.
I'll choose Deirdre. Deirdre, would you like to listen to me?
I would. I know that there are other silent listeners, and I thank you for choosing me.
Yeah, empathy can touch very deep, perhaps the deepest places inside us, most tender.
So I really heard you take a moment for silence, and then you shared that empathy touches one of the deepest places inside you.
Yeah. I'll share something I did this week.
Okay, you'd like to share something you did this week?
Yeah, there's
Y'all are just repeating back what you're saying. I don't get this.
Excuse me, Kathy. Would you please be kind and let them finish their conversation? Then after all this, after this round, then we'll have a chance to debrief and you can share and communicate how you feel about the communication or what's going on. But for right now, would it be okay if we just let the people speak and mirror and reflect back? And if you be patient and watch, you'll see how it works. Thank you.
So I was going to share one thing, but I'll share something else. I actually wanted to invite a friend to Empathy Circles. I've been inviting different people with disabilities. And I played just a few minutes of Kenya speaking to, I don't remember who she was listening or speaking to in the first week. And that was exactly the response that I got, was the response that we got from Kathy was, oh, they're just repeating and I don't need that.
So you had one thought that you wanted to share, but you changed your mind and you really wanted to share how you invited someone else to participate in an empathy circle by sharing a recording of our classmate Kenya in the very first week. And the person you had invited had the same reaction that our participant had today of you're just repeating each other, and they didn't seem to get it.
Yeah, they said that's boring. I don't need that. Waste of time.
And they said that it was boring and that it was a waste of time.
Yeah. So, yeah, maybe not everyone's cup of tea.
Well, I wouldn't say it's not my cup of tea. It's just that y'all are just saying the same thing back and forth.
Kathy, we're almost through here with this round, so can you please wait a little bit longer? We can let them finish their discourse and part of the training, and then in the end we'll debrief everything. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Thank you very much.
Jana, we did hear the chime, but I wanted to make sure that that you were fully heard.
Yeah, I feel fully heard. That's okay. Mm-hmm. Thank you, teacher.
So, I would like to invite Edwin to be my listener.
Mm-hmm. Listening.
All right. I am thinking about what I've heard today from Jana about when people don't get the idea of the empathy circles. And it makes me think, is there a better way of introducing the idea?
Yeah, so you're thinking of what Jana's saying about the empathy circles, people maybe objecting or to it, and you're just thinking, is there an easier or better way of introducing it?
Yeah, and when I think of that anxiety that we have when we want to share something that's precious to us and it's not appreciated by the person you've invited, that can be a little discouraging.
Yeah, so it's that feeling of you invite someone to share that, the process, and it's like they're not interested, and just so the feeling of them not being interested.
And so the opportunity that I feel like today's conversation reminds us is that we can take care of ourselves in the moment and say, what is the one kind thing I can say to myself in the moment that I'm experiencing another person's rejection?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're coming back to if we experience someone's rejection, what's a kind thing that I can say to sort of, just for that, I guess it's helpful just to say that one kind thing.
Yeah, to yourself. And once you've actually given yourself a hug, then you can really show up for the person and imagine that they are in a place where they're feeling anxious, and finding that thing to love about them in the moment might actually be the best demonstration of this experience as possible.
So if you get that rejection, you just kind of give yourself a hug, say one kind thing, and then with that sort of energy, you can kind of speak to them with that energy.
Yeah, and so maybe not everyone will get that you're practicing empathetic listening.
And maybe when you're doing that, you're sort of hearing them empathically, but they might not really understand that that's what's happening.
But you're still, planting the seeds for the future. Thank you, Floyd.
Yeah, so you're kind of just by listening to them empathically, it sort of sets the seeds for that hopefully will grow and they'll kind of maybe understand more or something like that.
Yes, I feel fully heard. Thank you for being my partner, Edwin.
Okay, thanks. And I'll speak to Kathy.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just interesting that what happens if people so I understand that you're just wondering what this listening is all about, that you just think that everybody's just repeating what the other person is saying. So I was kind of hearing that you had some concerns about that.
Do you want to know why I came here today? I'll tell you. I just went. I wanted to find out what this is all about. And I'm just not, still don't really know what y'all are doing.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm kind of confused here. I didn't really feel heard about what I was saying. So if you could just reflect back what I'm saying, what did you hear me say?
You were talking about me, something about me.
Yeah. So just, I'm getting a little confused here. I just feel a little confused.
So is this where I step in and reiterate the rules and say, Kathy, what will happen here? Edward will speak, and then you'll listen and reflect back to him what he's saying so that he feels that he's being heard. So
okay.
We'll just ask, be really quiet and listen to what he has to say and just simply mirror back and reflect back his words, so he feels
okay.
Okay. It's something that you will enjoy when people that do that to you. So we'll just give you a chance to experience that. Okay. So that Edward.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that explanation, Floyd. I think I'm going to go back to the empathy, compassion sort of topic that comes up a lot. People are always saying, hey, what's compassion? What's empathy? So there's a lot of questions around that and how they relate.
Okay. So you know that people have a lot of questions around compassion and empathy. So that's what you're going to talk about.
Yeah. So for me, the empathy is just sensing kind of the full spectrum of what everyone is experiencing. So the joys, the pains, just whatever, the whole spectrum of human experiencing is sensing those. So for me, that's what, for the empathy means.
Okay. So for you, empathy means the whole spectrum of human experience from the pain to the joy.
And then for me, as I understand it, is compassion is sort of a focusing on the pain and suffering. So if someone is in suffering or in pain, that the compassion is sort of addressed. How do you address the pain and suffering that people have? So I kind of see compassion as a subset of empathy. That's kind of how. Anyway, that's just my view.
Okay. So your view is that compassion is a subset of empathy. Compassion deals with how to handle the pain and suffering of others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a lot more, but my time's up. So
okay, great. All right, let's stop for now, and we're going to give Floyd some time to get some feedback. So Floyd, how do you think that went for you?
A little rough on the edges, but I feel like I did the best I could with it at the moment, I just call it winging it, That was our winging it empathy circle.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I like that you had a brief explanation in the beginning. One of the things you said is that instead of silent listener, you said passive listener. So you might want to stick with the silent.
Okay.
You're very kind in how you addressed me when I was giving you the challenges, and I listened to you. You're very kind in your feedback toward me. And it's okay for the timer to go off. It's sometimes people don't hear it, but it's okay if it goes off, and just make it a sound that's pleasant to people's ears. I like that you said, would you be willing? With one of the challenges I gave you, you said, would you be willing to, do this? And I thought the topic that you gave was a little bit wordy. It was hard for me to follow that. So yeah, that's my feedback.
Thank you.
Who else? Yeah. Who else would like to provide feedback for Floyd?
I feel fully seen, Kathy.
Actually, that was something that felt nice for me, Floyd, was that you really chose a beautiful background. And so whatever was happening, it was nice to have, you know, this picture of you in that space. It sort of brought me back to the moment. I didn't realize that would make a difference.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Floyd is a very sweet facilitator, and the topic was, yeah, it was, I needed to hear it twice too, but it's a very beautiful topic. And I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I'll jump in then. I just second what everyone else said to the topic. I felt a little confused at first what the topic was. Your explanation was, it just felt very sort of, there was this underlying sort of clarity and sort of warmth, and that, you know, I just felt kind of comfortable with, and I was sort of, oh, that's really, you know, the sort of the clearness of some of the, when you first started, it got a little bit less clear, but it just started off just very clear and had a sort of a depth to it that I said, oh, I was really sort of taken with it. Yeah, that's what comes to mind.
Well, Edward, can I give you feedback to that, please?
Yes, please.
At your t-shirt, it says empathy on it, but when you move your shoulders together, the E becomes an I. It says empathy. No, when your right shoulder moves in, the E becomes an, no, you got to close it.
Oh,
The E becomes an I, so it says empathy.
Empathy. Okay.
So I was kind of holding that thought during
Those were your challenges, the imps.
The imps are coming. The imps are coming.
So I go, what is empathy anyway? Is that being without empathy? What is empathy? You know, so anyway.
Empathy. So yeah.
Empathy.
Oh, there's also the audio that sometimes, you know, just having the like a light sound audio can also be good, because if people are not on like a cell phone like Jenna, they don't see everyone. So having some sort of audio like that is, you're concerned about that, but it can be really, if it's a nice sound, it can actually be very helpful.
Good.
All right, let's move on. So Deirdre has her turn. So Deirdre, you're on. Do you want challenges?
Sure.
Okay. Mild, medium?
Whatever you've got.
Okay, great.
Welcome, everyone. I am really glad that you chose to join us today for the Empathy Circles. I think we're all learning how to be in community together, and what we're going to practice today is deep listening, and it's going to give everyone here today an opportunity to be heard and to practice active listening. And then there's also going to be a time when we'll be the silent listeners, but those are all active roles. So again, I thank you for being here. I will model what we mean by active listening today by being the first listener. And there will be a speaker who will take about 3 minutes to share what is alive for them in the moment, or to respond to the prompt that I'm going to share with you today. And the active listener will take small chunks of the speaker, or actually the speaker will share small chunks of their thought, and the listener will reflect back what they've heard. And then the silent listeners will be holding space. And once the speaker feels fully heard, which is really our goal today, then we will take turns, and the speaker will invite, the active listener will invite someone to listen to them as they speak. So I have a signal that I'll just hold up. It's just a card, but hopefully the colors will catch your attention, and that will be a signal that it's time to finish your thought, and we'll then switch roles. And so I would like to invite Jana to be our first speaker, and I will be the listener, and then Jana will choose someone to, then I will choose someone to be the listener for me as I share. And the topic today is really, what is something that you do to reset in an anxious moment? What is something that you do for yourself that models compassion and empathy? Is there one kind word that you have? So, Jana, would you like to reflect on that? And I'm just going to set the timer so that we all have this opportunity today. Thank you very much.
Well, I have many kind words, not one kind word. Over the years, the kind words have changed. When I was working with children many years ago, they were 13 years old, and they had been evidently placed on the kibbutz. And many of them came from distressed homes. And so I had this kind of ongoing mantra, without knowing the word mantra, which was, it translates not so well, but maybe the best translation would be loving kindness. It was warmth and love, literal.
Thank you so much, Jana. I wanted to ask if I can hold up my hand to let you know that I need a pause so that I can reflect back to you what I've heard. And what I did hear you say is that you had more than one kind or loving word, that you had spent time with young people about 13 years old in a kibbutz, and you found many kind and loving words, but there was one phrase that maybe doesn't translate perfectly into English, but I'd like to invite you to repeat what that phrase was.
So over the years, I've had many words, but at that time I had one phrase constantly going in the background. And it was, I guess, translates to loving kindness. It's the best.
So of the many words that you would use, the one mantra before you understood what the word mantra was, but the refrain that you had was loving kindness.
So in any situation that arose with these kids, I just constantly thought, what do they need? They need loving kindness. What do they need? They need, in Hebrew, it's chom v'ahava, it's warmth and love. They need warmth and love. I guess that would be like a warm heart and love, loving kindness.
So every time you spent time with the children and they were in distress, you would repeat to yourself that, you know, what do they need? They need loving kindness. And I believe what you said was they need need love and warmth.
Yeah.
That's the translation.
Yeah, I feel heard. Did I have much more time?
You have 6 seconds, and I would be happy to reflect back whatever you'd like to share.
Do we have to time everybody? Can't we just talk until we're finished talking?
Thank you so much for that question, Kathy. We are spending time in this section of our conversation, and everyone will have time, but this portion of time allows everyone to have the opportunity. And if you could practice your role as the silent listener, that will help the rest of the participants have their turn. Okay. And you will as well. Okay. Jana, would you like to invite, I'm sorry, I'm the speaker. And I would like to invite Floyd to listen to me.
Oh, I would love to. Thank you.
Okay, so I realized that as a facilitator, sometimes I have moments of feeling a little bit flustered, and so I have to take a moment to be kind to myself, and so this was a great opportunity to practice the topic today.
So you realize that sometimes as a facilitator, you feel a little flustered, and that it's a great opportunity for you to practice kindness for the role that you're playing. You know.
Yes, and I also realized that there are a number of people who participate today for whom this is a first experience, and questions will bubble up for them. And if I want to model how good it feels to be fully heard, I want to make sure that I do a good job as a facilitator so that everyone gets that chance.
Okay, so you realize that there are some people that are here for the first time, and that you want to do a good job, but you want them to be able to experience what it feels like to be fully heard, so they know what that feels like.
Yeah. And when I think about why I was first drawn to empathy circles, I realized that it is a gift to spend time almost thinking aloud with a partner, and without judgment or the person trying to solve a problem with me. And I think that matters.
Okay, so so you're thinking of what drew you to the empathy circles, and what it felt like for you to be heard. And I missed part of it because it was a little long for me. So what it felt like to be heard, and I think there was something in there about conflict. I'm sorry, I missed this.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that being listened to without team, I didn't reset the timer. And so I would just like to say that I feel fully heard, and thank you, Floyd, for being my listener. And would you like to invite someone to be your listener now? That would be the next step.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. Or thank you, Deirdre. And Kathy, would you be my listener, please? Thank you. So I missed the topic. Deirdre, what's the topic again, please? What was the topic?
What are some of the ways that you show up for yourself? Is there one or more kind word or thought that you can hold for yourself that helps you reset?
Okay, thank you. I'm ready now. So one of the practices that I spontaneously began to use was an affirmation when I did things, when I completed a project or I did something.
What's an affirmation?
Thank you very much, Kathy. I wanted to just remind you that you are trying to hear what Floyd said and reflect back what you've heard. And this is really his chance to be heard. And we can talk about the definition of an affirmation when it is your turn.
Okay. So you said something about an affirmation?
Yes, that not having a lot of affirmations when you were young can leave, for myself, for not having heard a lot of affirmations, I realized that I had to learn how to affirm myself. I had to teach myself how to be affirmative.
Okay, so when you were growing up, you didn't have anybody giving you affirmations, so you had to learn to do that for yourself.
And so one of the things I do now, even the simplest little things, I find myself saying, good job, Floyd. When I complete something, good job, Floyd. You know.
So you, when you finish something, you tell yourself you did a good job.
And I say, good job, Floyd.
You say, good job, Floyd.
As if somebody was talking to me.
As if he was talking to you.
And so I reprogram myself, that's all. So was that hard? Did you mean that time was up? Oh, that was fast. All right, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I feel heard, Kathy.
I was waiting to hear that you felt fully heard, and thank you for being his partner, Kathy.
Yeah. So I don't really want to talk about compassion. I want to talk about something else. So
yeah, this is your time, Kathy, to share, and you can speak on any topic that's alive for you right now. Would you invite someone to be your listener?
Okay. Jana, would you be my listener?
Sure.
So this is still really weird for me. I mean, y'all are just saying something, just saying it back to each other. I don't get it.
So what I'm hearing from you is that this is all really strange for you, and all we are is doing is parroting back what we're hearing, and you don't get what the point is.
Right, yeah. I'm not even sure what to talk about.
And you're not sure what to talk about at all.
Well, I'll talk about my day yesterday. It was a crazy, crazy day. It's like, oh my God, I didn't think I was going to make it through the day.
So yesterday you had a crazy, crazy day, and you didn't think you would survive.
Yeah, in fact, somebody was talking to was a drama queen, and I was like, oh my God, what is going on here? Leave me alone.
One of the people you were talking to is what you call a drama queen, and you just wish she would stop and leave you alone.
Right. And somebody said earlier to think of, you know, something kind about somebody. So now I'm thinking, what could I have thought kind about this person?
And now you're thinking about what kind thought you might have been able to think about this person instead of rolling your eyes inside and thinking drama queen.
Yeah, instead of judging, I was judging this person.
So you were judging this person.
Mm-hmm. And I'm still trying to think, okay, what's something I could think of that's kind about this person?
So you were judging this person, and you're still trying to think of something that was kind about them.
And I think I'm done.
And,
do you feel fully heard, Kathy? Is that what you mean by you're done?
I do. I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Thank you for participating. And Jana, would you like to choose a listener? And we'll go back.
Edwin?
Listening.
So have the Empathy Circle that I started has 3 people, but last week we met 2, and this week there were 2, and they weren't the exact same 2. So one person has finished 3 empathy circles.
So you create an empathy circle, and sounds like you've had 3 sessions, and one person has been to all of them.
Yeah. And today I have a budding second empathy circle forming.
And you're expanding to a second circle today too, so you're kind of building on it.
Yeah, so this circle this evening is very moving because it's a person who is inviting 2 family members that she has had some conflict with.
So it's almost like a little mediation conflict empathy circle. So has some, feels like it's going to be moving, or it is moving to you.
Well, I was thinking that maybe to let them choose if they wanted to keep it light and stick with some topic like values or compassion.
And
Or,
you're just, oh, sorry. So you're you're thinking of maybe keeping it light, like not going right into the conflict, but let's have some light topic, empathy, compassion, something like that as a topic.
Yeah, just to practice the non-judging part of empathic listening to each other as they share whatever they want about the topic or whatever is alive for them now, but not necessarily the most painful or hurtful or historic thing that ever happened to them.
Yeah, so maybe started kind of light and not the most challenging, painful topic issues.
Yeah, I feel fully heard.
Okay.
Thank you. Edwin, are you ready?
Yeah. How are we on overall time, Kathy?
We've got, let's see, 3 minutes.
Okay, we got 3 minutes left, and I'll speak to you, Kathy.
Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah, that's great. I'm really excited about Jana's empathy circles, you know, starting to practice them, and good to have for family members who are in conflict, having a positive topic like, hey, what's the best thing that's happened in your life in the last month or something like that. Something really positive for the first experience.
Yeah. So you're excited that Jana is doing these empathy circles that will be mediating, and it's a great idea to start with something positive before you get into things.
Yeah, and I'm just nice. I feel moved. I feel excited that, oh yeah, she's working on it. You know, we're kind of expanding the circle. It kind of makes me just feel good to see the circle practice expanding.
Yeah. So you're really excited about seeing the circle practice expanding and how she's using it.
And then one of the challenges is people say, oh, you're just parroting back. I don't seem superficial. So there's sort of the criticisms and how to overcome those, you know, how to speak to those, I think is a whole, you know, big topic.
Yeah, I agree.
Issue.
I agree with you. I feel the same way.
Kathy, could you reflect back what you hear Edwin saying? I would really, that'll be.
So Edwin said that it's a lot of people don't understand these empathy circles and what's going on.
Yeah, it's about the speaker feeling heard to their satisfaction. It's not like the listener just parroting back like a parrot. It's about really hearing the essence of what the person says, and for the listener to reflect back the essence in their own word of what they heard. So it doesn't have to, yeah, so I'll pause there.
So you said it's about the listener being fully heard, and you're supposed to repeat back, yes, what you heard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can be in your own words. It doesn't have to be kind of word for word. So, yeah.
So it can be in your own words, doesn't have to be word for word.
Exactly. And I see that was my time. So, yeah, thank you. I feel fully heard.
Great.
Deeply heard, deeply moved by your listening.
Thank you all for participating. I'm glad that we were able to better understand that we're not just parroting, but we're sharing the message that we believe the person is hearing.
Cool. Cool. So Deirdre, how did that go for you?
Oh, there are so many things, but one of the things that really bothered me is that I kept having an uptick in my voice. It's like I never sounded confident in what I was saying. And I also felt that I said too many words, but not enough of sort of the meat.
Okay. You mean in the introduction?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Let's see. I thought you did a really good job with addressing the challenges. One time you said, thank you for your question when I asked something about the process. And another good thing you did was you used your turn to explain some things about the circle. Your explanation in the beginning was slow and deliberate, so it was very easy to follow you. And again, I like starting off with there's 4 roles and saying what the 4 roles are and then going into explaining them. I liked your welcome. It was very warm. And in the beginning, when you're the active listener, you want to ask people to volunteer to be the speaker rather than choosing someone. Another thing you did that I liked was you expressed your vulnerability as a facilitator when it was your turn. And you also said, when this is people's first experience and people will have questions, so you really affirmed, that I had questions. So yeah. Oh, and then the other thing, you also were very, very kind and gentle. So that, all of you really made the circle a very safe space. Who else has feedback for Deirdre?
I would say everything that Kathy said, but what I want is that there's such a kindness inside of you that comes through that that I really want to be in an empathy circle with you, just so that I can experience that kindness, that I really feel it, and so I thank you for that. Thank you for showing up and bringing that and being vulnerable with it, really vulnerable, because it brings a real authenticity of who you are, so thank you, Deirdre. Thank you very much.
Well, I'll again second what Kathy and Floyd have said. Kathy was just a great debrief. Yeah, just really, and to begin with, I thought, oh, this is a very experienced facilitator, Deirdre. So I thought, oh, this is in good hands. This is a very grounded person. And also reiterate what Kathy said about using the empathy circle, that your turn to actually explain something to someone else so that it stays within the process as much as possible. So there's not so much as stepping out in kind of explaining, but trying to use the process to explain. I think that kind of strengthens the container. And that was, excellent. It kind of holds that, the process. Yeah, so that was it. So it was very, yeah.
I don't really have much to add to this. I agree with everything Kathy said, and I also appreciated her expressing vulnerability as the facilitator in her turn.
I really wish that I had been able to capture and reflect the Hebrew phrase, and that was frustrating for me in the moment.
So good job, everyone. This was a very, very easy circle. And yes, I cracked up at one point giving the challenge. Yeah, I enjoyed giving the challenges, and you all did really well with them.
Yeah, and that part about when you feel anxious, that's what my approach is, just share it to the room. And especially if you can get a reflection on it, like if it's my turn to speak and share like, hey, I feel pretty anxious here. And for someone to reflect that back is, I just find it really helps me to get grounded. So I use that a lot. So I'm always feeling anxious.
I didn't know that about you.
Oh, yeah. Could you give me a reflection on that, Kathy?
Yes. you feel anxious a lot of the time. And so when you are in the circle, expressing that and hearing it reflected back grounds you.
That felt very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to close the room. So the rooms are closing. So thanks, everyone. It was a really lovely, really felt great. Really. So everybody will be popping back in.
Oh, we're not popping out, they're popping in.
Right. Yeah, we're the home rooms, I think. Yeah.
Home team. Where's the home team?
I just want to say thank you all so much for being here to help with the training, and just really helpful, and thank you. Bill was amazing today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And Tiffany, I have much love for Tiffany too. I've had 2 circles with Tiffany now, and she's amazing.
She is, yes. I second that.
I third it.
Hola, bonjour, guten Tag.
Okay, everyone's back. Oh, I think, is everyone back? Yeah. And
Ralph.
Ralph, we're on to Ralph. Or no, I'll just still more people coming back. Okay. So let's give it a second. Oh, there you are, Ralph. Okay, I think you're up.
Oh, sorry, a little technical thing here. So now's the time for us to check out and to give some feedback about how our experience was. And I'm going to call on the participants first, and if we have time, get to the trainees and trainers. And so each, please take a minute and share your experiences in your journey on Empathy Circle training. And I'd like to start, as you appear on my Hollywood Squares, first with Floyd, and then go to Deirdre.
Hi. Well, I really enjoyed our circle. It was really educational and enjoyable. I really enjoyed our group, enjoyed the people, enjoyed the trainers, the leaders, and everyone in the group. So thank you very much, for allowing me to be part of your circle. Thank you.
Thank you. Deirdre, and then Jana.
Well, I really enjoyed having 2 leaders in the room, and even when sort of anxiety got high, we all found ways to recenter, and I thought that my fellow learners brought so much to the experience. I was grateful for that, and thanks for the feedback.
Thank you. Jana, then Jang.
I love how the group kind of just evolves in the present moment, where the topics are fluid and they change in response to what's happening in the room and what people are sharing and how we responded, in our turns to what is being shared. So I really loved that, and the great kindness. Thank you.
Wonderful. Jang, and then Altonia.
And I had a good time with the people in my circle. I learned new things. I experienced challenge, and learned from it. And I quite like having a challenge as part of the circle. I just feel that it spices things up. And when I had my own circle, I had a challenge too. And yes, and it's a good opportunity to learn how to deal when things happen unexpectedly. Thank you.
Thank you for the insights. Altonia, and then Dwayne.
I really enjoyed our circle. It was extremely supportive. and encouraging. And this is a great process to learn how to multitask if you're not a multitasker like me.
Okay.
All right.
Having some jumping around, Dwayne and then Andrea.
I enjoyed my experience today with working with BJ, Andrea, and Ralph. We had a really interesting conversation. And also I appreciated the challenge. I had fun with them. And I, again, always enjoy the magic of the Empathy Circle process and look forward to my next experience and meeting some of the other members of this group.
Thank you. Andrea, then Krista.
So I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm realizing that I have to have a balance in my awareness to be listening, but especially when it's your turn to be the facilitator, you've got to have all these things on the go. So I have to keep practicing.
Thank you. Krista and then Laura.
I noticed the body a lot and how when I was relaxed, it was easier, and the challenges are exactly why I'm in the circle. Like I want to learn to settle so that I can be a better facilitator. And towards the end, the kind of permission to, oh, you can, break the protocol to some degree. You can alter to the needs of the circle, because I am a real go with the flow kind of human. And when rules are put forth, I get tense about it, but I really want to do a good job. So I appreciated remembering that in service of the circle, there are ways in which I could redirect some of the challenging energy toward me. So thank you for that. And after the challenges, I was more tense than before, but I survived, and I thanks.
So glad you survived. And thank you, Laura, and then BJ.
Hi, I really enjoyed the topics. I enjoyed how I learned more how to better introduce the roles and the rules, and I got a lot out of the feedback. So thank you.
Thank you. BJ and then Johnny.
Okay, for me, it was awesome. I initially came thinking today, what would it be like for empathy circles to consider having unsafe, difficult conversations within the empathy listening circle. And then Ralph mentioned Resma Minkum. He has this one book called My Grandmother's Hands, which talks about trauma, and it was really interesting. So the conversation was really engaging, but when it came my turn to take time and to do other things, it was a little challenging. So there's just work that I need to do for me. Thanks.
Thank you. Johnny and then Anjali.
I found that the last meeting I had with Lou and Celine, I was struggling quite a bit with my short-term memory and retaining during as an active listener for the speaker. And I was able to lessen some of that stress and anxiety by doing a mantra a couple of times, telling myself that I could do this. I've done it before and I can do it now. So that kind of was extremely helpful in keeping me in my role.
Thank you. Anjali and then Kevin.
Yeah, we had, good interactions, and we learned about the importance of safe space. And then also toward the end, we were talking about, how there could be like this idea of empathic debates that can make people who do not believe in empathy, believe in empathy, and then they can appreciate the listening aspect more. But overall, it went really well. Yeah.
Thank you. Kevin and then Sarika.
It was great. The challenges, the facilitation, helping you to work the screen to be focused when you're facilitating, when someone else is speaking and you're the listener, and managing those multiple parts was, always very interesting. And then the challenges were just phenomenal in reference to the group, how they was able to keep everything in a nice flow, but it's still a nice organic experience through everything that happened. And I'm thankful.
Thank you. Sarika and then Vera.
Thank you, Ralph. I had a really warm experience today in our breakout session. It was just really inviting, and we were able to share some really great reflections with the different topics that we had. Probably one of the best experiences that I've had so far. So I just want to thank Rasha for creating a really safe space and just allowing us to hold space for each other's experiences. And then the challenges were helpful, just being able to practice the circles with challenges. So thanks to everyone that was in my room, and thanks for those who are struggling through difficult situations that still came today.
Thank you, Sarika. So Vera and then Trey.
Yeah, I want to say ditto. That was great. That was perfect. Encapsulated what I was thinking as well. This process is really amazing. I've had just such a wonderful time with this training, and I love the practice of doing challenges, and having the safe space to really learn what is appropriate and how do we respond to these challenges that come up, and because I'd rather experience it here than to have it, be in one of my empathy circles outside of training. So I'd rather have it here and learn from it. So really appreciate, all the trainers, and especially, my trainer for today, Bill, and just the whole room. I mean, we had a great empathy circle. We had just a lovely time, and I want to say every empathy circle that I've had so far has been amazing, and I just love this group. And thank you all so much for being here, for being a part of this. It's such a lovely and beautiful community. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Trey and then Shauna, please.
Hey, yeah, today's circle was very pleasant. Anne did a wonderful job with the challenges, and each person kind of handled them really well. I learned a lot from each person, and the feedback was very helpful as well. And yeah, I feel like we were all kind of present for each other wherever, in whatever mind space we were in, and that made it feel that much better for everybody in the circle. Yeah, so very good session today.
Thank you, Trey. Shauna, and then we'll end with Joyce.
All right, so I think I'd mentioned, of course, shared with the group my inability at the time to participate. However, something that really stood out to me while I was working on one of a major tasks that I need to complete was, the challenge of multitasking. And while I was getting my particular task done, just listening and recognizing I had to pause my assignment and listen to what was being shared. I was feeling a little low because of what's required of me today, but just listening in on the empathy circle, I think I shared it with them, just rejuvenated me to keep pushing ahead. And I really had to, I found that to be really beneficial, and having such a warmth and engaging group, though I was unable to do my part, in partaking, was really helpful for me.
Thank you so much. Joyce, please.
Yeah, so I was in a circle with Anjali and Larry, and we talked about just how empathy circles are a place where everybody is sharing equally and it's a non-competitive space. And I really resonated with that. And another thing, as Anjali mentioned, the book Born to Be Good, and that is going to be on my reading list now. And so, yeah, I think it overall went very well. So thank you.
Thank you very much. What a wealth of sharing. That was wonderful.
I think we need to go to Floyd.
Well, Floyd's disappeared, and I thought I called on him first. Oh, Floyd, did you go?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Oh.
There you go.
No need to double dip. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you can give me a buddy call if you need to. So Edwin, I think that winds up the.
I think we have time. We need just 5 minutes for the closing, so we still have about 8 minutes if you want to call on the trainees and trainers.
Yes, I will. I'm going to call on Kathy and then Tiffany.
Okay. Yeah, we had a great circle, very warm, gentle, kind. And I gave challenges. At one point I cracked up because it's just so much fun to give a challenge, but it was a pleasure to be in the circle.
Thank you. Tiffany and then Melissa.
So today was, it was really interesting to really observe, and I got to really listen to how we can improve. I think sometimes when you're facilitating, it's hard to really accept feedback. But I think that this time around, I was really able to listen because I had been through this before. So that was the benefit of going through it a second time.
Thank you. Melissa and then, well, I'll call on somebody. Melissa, please.
Thank you, Ralph. Yeah, so it was pretty interesting. It's a new experience every time. It's good to have the opportunity to get to speak with others whom you've not been in before and to get to know everyone better. Thank you.
Had a wonderful experience, and I think I learned more than the others in the group. It gets deeper and deeper. And I was thinking of something about the rules. We have rules that we have to follow, and I thought, there's the laws of gravity. I mean, we don't think much about that. We follow it pretty well. And now I'm thinking about the laws of empathy, which exist naturally in the world. So they're our friend. I think I got all the trainees. Should I move on to?
Yeah, well, I think we still have time. You're doing really well. We still have 7 minutes. So.
Okay, so then I see you, Bill, and then I'll call on Ann.
Yeah, I just wanted to express my appreciation for all of you who come here, both the trainers, trainees, and participants, in the sense that we're facing, a species challenges, species-wide challenges, planet-wide challenges. And I really believe that this is the beginning, empathic or empathic listening is the beginning towards creating a kind of dialogue that can solve those. And so I have so much appreciation for each of you who come here and are willing to kind of take, get it started, get the ball rolling. So thank you so much, everyone. That's it.
Thank you, Bill. Ann, and then Rasha.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to be in my circle with people who are just doing so well, and it is, as Bill says, I feel like this is so important. If we can take this out into the world, or with our families and colleagues and friends or whoever, this is going to help to make a difference to this dire situation that we're all in, which will help us survive it. So thank you, and thank you for everybody in my room who showed up, and even they've had challenging weeks and took the opportunity and made the most of it. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Anne. Rasha and then Larry.
Hello, everyone. So I want to thank everybody as well. I love this space, this group. And I especially want to thank the lovely ladies who are a part of the breakout room that I was in, Sireka, Altonia, and Shauna. And Shauna, despite having, some very critical work, coursework, she still showed up and she still was trying to, manage both her coursework and she was trying really hard to be present. So we're very grateful to her for that. And I also want to say that both Sireka and Altonia, they were amazing. I mean, I've been a part of several of these sessions, but I felt that, they were doing excellent and they make great facilitators. So I was feeling very happy and proud of how well they did as well. So thank you.
Thank you. And then Larry, then Celine.
I want to say a deep thank you to Joyce and Anjali and the deep empathy that we experienced in the Empathy Circle today. And I'd also like to give a shout out to Zarika and the buddy call that we had. And thank you for that sharing about the pause. And to Jing, and thank you for sharing about ginger. It's been very helpful. And thank you to Jana, and your sharing of acupressure has been very helpful. And I'm really happy to be here. Thank you all.
Celine, and then Edwin, you bring us home.
So for me, I started out this morning feeling unsettled and uncomfortable. And like Krista said, what I did was I went to my body, and it took maybe a whole 10 minutes or something. But I then noticed a shift and I became more comfortable. I also noticed in our circle, because I've been watching and working with you, the improvement, the more relaxation, the better capacity to listen and to reflect back accurately. So that's always really encouraging. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Edwin, please.
Yeah, in the empathy circle, doing an empathy circle where everyone knows the practice and you're just enjoying the depth of it. There's sort of that feeling, and we had that in our group too, where people are just sharing deeply. But then you throw in all these challenges and struggles, and that adds a bit of reality to life, I guess. And it's the learning and growing. So there's sort of anxiety, there's stress, but it is part of the learning process. So I really enjoy that learning and growing. So, and I think that's what the challenges are really good for doing that, because once you've kind of experienced the challenges in this environment, I hear, and I find it from myself too, going into the world where you have those challenges, you're sort of like prepared a little bit more for it, and it's easier to address those. So yeah, I just enjoy the sort of this deep learning and growing environment that we're doing in our groups, and so grateful for everyone taking part and just sharing their truths and their experiences. And I guess if I was the last person, I would be Melissa to do the last part. Yeah.
Yes. So yes, thank you everyone for coming once again. And Edwin would be putting a link in the chat. We ask that you give your session feedback in the survey. Also, Edwin would be sending a list for the buddy call for the coming week. If you are not able to get to have a buddy call with your buddy, you can also connect with anyone else in the list. The information will all be in the email. Also, we ask you if you can hold a facilitate an empathy circle with your friends or relatives or any group that you are in. It would really be an experience. And also, if during the week you can think how the empathy circle would help you or help everyone build a culture of empathy in the world. That is something to give thought to. Next, I ask if you could please post a feeling in the chat right now about how being in the empathy circle today has made you feel. So if all of you can do that, that would be wonderful.
We did want to have a second for any trainer final comments too. If you wanna
Right.
Open that
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, I didn't know if they wanted to, as Ralph already asked everyone. Do you still have something to say?
I do.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump in. So I've sent out a link to a LinkedIn event that we have for the Intro Cafe. So again, I'm going to keep harping on this because it's really one of the best ways for us to get the word out about the training and about the Intro Cafes. So if I'm going to send out a reminder about that again, if you're on LinkedIn, to invite your friends into our LinkedIn event. And Larry did it. So thanks, Larry. And he has a large diver community. So all these divers have said, hey, I'm interested. They've signed up for the event. And it creates a bit of it kind of goes viral. If the more people join, the more the word gets out, because it goes on to your feed and to your events calendar, and then other friends see it. So it starts to go viral, and it really helps us to get the word out. And then you can join us Monday for the Intro Cafe, and you can actually facilitate. You can get some real world experience in facilitating an empathy circle there. And there's people coming in for the first time. I mean, so you're really getting the real experience of facilitating those rooms there. So I invite you to come on Monday as well, if you're able to. So that was it for me. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Edwin. Does anyone else have anything to say, any of the trainers? No? All right. Okay, so now what we do in the end, as you all would know, we do the jazz hands. So shall we all do the jazz hands? Okay.
See you next week.
Thank you, everyone. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Care.
Bye, everyone.